I think it's time in this series that we talk about some of the negative things. What was wrong with the truck? What parts were missing from the truck that I was expecting when I went to pick this truck up from the dealership. So the very first thing I noticed was I was supposed to get the side view cameras with the digital rear view mirror. So this little slot's for your light. That'll shine back along the truck to help you get in or reverse. And then this little slot that's covered, that's supposed to be a camera that shows up in your rear view mirror. And so your rear view mirror could be split and it'd show your right hand mirror view and your left hand mirror view. Or you could have it split into three so you could see like your middle and then your right and your left. And that way all you got to do is look over at your mirror and you see everything in one spot, and you don't have to sit there while you're driving and look left and look right. It'd be really nice. And so that was advertised as what I was buying. They have pictures clearly showing it, and obviously it didn't come with it. So I was really not happy at all about that. Basically, I got nothing for it. I just said, sorry, nothing we can do. The next one was the rear bumper step. So this was a huge one. Obviously, I have a bad back. That's the whole reason I bought a new truck, was to be easier on my back. And I selected the bed utility group, which was supposed to come with the step, the interior bed lights, and the bed liner. So I got the bed lights and the bed liner, but no step. So I raised hell about that. They did end up getting me one ordered, and it was just 3 bolts to put it on. So they did work with me on that, but that is just a widespread problem. I guess they run out of inventory on stuff, and so then they just don't put it on the truck. But now here in August, I noticed that now it's just a standard feature on the trucks. The trucks just all come with that step as of August, but as of September, that could all change. And then the other one I noticed within the first day was that there was this huge gaping hole where my inner fender wheel liner was supposed to be. And so obviously I fixed that. I already made a video showing you how to make that if you want to make one yourself. It's less than $60 of material, and it turned out really, really nice. And I have had really good success with them so far. All right, so I want to show you guys the problem with this truck from the factory. There's some body issues. For example, you come down here to this door. Kind of hard to see it in video versus person, but you get these paint drips on the bottom. This body line doesn't even line up, and this pinches out and ends up sticking out past the outside of the door. Come over to this side, and the door actually still sticks out past the cab, and the door's shut. And maybe you can, I can't get the camera close enough to the truck, but maybe you can see it. This whole lip is actually sticking this way off of the truck, and then this kind of line doesn't really line up. Anyway, it's just kind of funny that they've been making this body style for over 16 years, and it's that jacked up. Those are mild though. I can live with those because although they don't look the greatest, it's not making any sound. Doors shut nicely. But on the bed, this side, it's pretty beautiful. Got the tonneau cover on, sits down nice and flush all the way along the bed. It's nice and flat. I would say for Pace Edwards, if they could put one more clamp in the middle on an 8-foot bed, that'd certainly help, because there's just not enough clamping force with 2 clamps on an 8-foot bed. Now technically, tailgate is a little bit higher than the bedside right here, but you're picking at hairs there. I consider that pretty awesome. And then we come over here. And so you can tell this part of the bedside is actually welded right there. It's welded high, and so it's kind of angling like this. So that's preventing this cap from being able to go all the way down. Now, since I have this closed, it's actually pulling down on this. But if this was opened up, this bed, this tonneau rail goes like this. And it should be flat and flush. It should be flat down to here. So I'm going to crawl on the bed and show you what's actually going on. But first I want to show you just how terrible it makes this seal on this whole thing then. The only place it's sealed tight is up here. And then because we have an 8-foot bed, it holds up here. And then because this whole bed side is welded on crooked, it's sticking way up over here. And so that is why this truck is actually going back to the dealership to get this bed side welded on correctly so my tonneau will rest flat and close properly. So let's crawl in the bed. I'm going to show you, if I can, what's actually going on here. By the way, I love this stair step system now. It's so much easier to get up and in here. All right, so what we're going to be looking at is this. I'm going to call this an angle iron. You have this post, and at the top of this post, you can see where that ends. The top of that post is flush with this piece, and this angle iron is flush to the bottom of this hole. And then looking beyond that, that bed rail is pulled tight down against this piece. Now we'll move over to the problem side. And you can immediately see this angle iron isn't even close to flush with the top of this hole. And then if you look at the top of this rail, this angle iron is way above it. And so then that prevents this piece from coming down where it should be, which prevents this piece from coming down to where it should be. So the problem might all stem from this angle iron not being welded properly where it was supposed to. But then there's also 3 spot welds in here that clamp basically the bed side down to this post. So between these 3 spot welds and this piece, that's all going to have to get repositioned. They'll have to drill that spot weld out, drill those 3 spot welds out, bring it down, and then re-weld it. So probably not too hard of a fix, but since I'm looking at trucks on lots now, I noticed this is a widespread problem with these trucks, 24s and 25s that are sitting on lots, and it's all on the right-hand side. So I would say they need to take a look at their fixturing, because obviously something's being done incorrectly here. So this process is supposed to only take maybe a week to get done. So I'll probably wait till the truck comes back so I can show you the finished product. Hopefully it's a happy ending, and then I can finally start enjoying my truck. So I did get the truck back from the dealer. It was a nightmare. I took the truck in. Let's see, the whole story is, called the dealer. I asked him, how's your body shop looking right now? What's the lead time? They said, oh, perfect timing. We have no work here right now. We're hard up for work, so we can get you in right away and we can get it fixed right away. And I said, great, because I'm not going to bring this truck in until you can actually work on it, because I drive it every day. Obviously, this little crooked bed issue is not going to prevent me from using the truck every day for work. So call me when you're ready to bring it in and get it started. So I take it in, I park it there. There's a chance of hail like every day. We've just had a freaky wet season here in Nebraska. And I said, are you going to at least park it inside overnight so I don't have to worry about it getting hailed on? They said, yes, absolutely. Well, it sat there for a week. It sat outside every night. I was driving by looking at it, kept calling them. They said, oh, well, we'll get it inside tonight. They never did park it inside. They never did work on it. So one day I said, okay, enough's enough. taking my truck back if you're not going to work on it. Do you want to fix it or not? They said, yeah, let's get it scheduled. So we scheduled for like 2.5 weeks later for me to bring it in. I said, I'm going to call, the night before I'm supposed to bring it in, make sure everything's still kosher. I call and they said, oh, you know what? Can we wait till next month? I'm like, no, I need the truck fixed. It's brand new. This shouldn't have ever been sold to me like this. So this is in Columbus, Nebraska, by the way. This is not where I bought the truck from 15 hours away in Louisiana. This is back home with the local dealer. I said, no, you got to get it fixed. And they said, well, give us a week and we'll have it fixed. And I said, how is it going to take a week to drill out 4 spot welds, clamp this down, and re-weld it and slap a little paint on your welds? So lo and behold, about 2 or 3 days later, they had it fixed. They sent me pictures, and I'll post those up here in a second. But now that I have my tailgate seal, you can't really see a whole lot of it. That's kind of what it looks like, though. And then I said, the number one thing that's important to me is that you do a good job of covering the bare steel and the welds back with good quality paint, so I don't have to worry about this rusting out 5 or 10 years from now. And they said, oh, that's of the utmost importance to us. That's our number one priority, is to make sure it's not going to rust. I get it back. There's bare welds all over. There's rust spatter. There was paint primer all over this light. So I ended up having to use some wax and grease remover to get rid of the overspray. And then I came in with my own paint and primered and painted all of it myself. So short story long, I should have just fixed it myself. I would have saved 2 weeks of frustration of them leaving this thing parked outside every night when it was supposed to hail. Probably would have done a better job, but it's warranty. That's why you buy a new truck, is so that you can get frustrated with the dealer for leaving it sit in their shop for a month, right? So I'll throw some pictures up of what this bed looked like under this plastic cap, because the best I can tell, at the factory, they beat the ever-living shit out of this bedside to get this plastic cap to fit, assuming that, as long as this cap fits, then they're out of the woods. Because there was the blue, here we got one, these blue little stripes are QA marks. That's quality assurance. There was blue QA marks going over this, saying that they looked at it and they checked her off. It's not perfect. There you can see like the thickness of the rail cap is still sticking up, but it's good enough. And over here on this side, this guy really is pretty much perfect. And now that I've driven this for 2 months, I still agree with my initial assessment that we need one more clamp, if not 2, to help clamp this down on a long bed. So I know that was a quick video, but those were just some of the major issues that I had just initially right after picking the truck up. Make sure if you get a new truck, you go over it with a magnifying glass and a fine-tooth comb and find all that stuff, because the dealer's not going to find it for you, and they're not going to fix it unless you bring it up. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you in our next video.